We have John, Lee, Tim, Peter, Lisa, and Cynthia all present. So I guess, I don't know, we have to formally say I'm here.
Yeah, we have to do a roll call vote.
Yeah, let's, John, are you here?
I always think I'm here, even when I'm there.
Lee,
I'm present.
Tim,
Aye.
Peter,
Present.
Lisa,
Here.
and Cindy.
Present.
And Peter Goodney's present as well. Do we have a volunteer for the scribe, or we're gonna have to spin the wheel?
Oh,
You do not want me, believe me.
That means it'll be brief.
I'll give it a try.
All
I
right.
don't know how good I'm gonna be.
you'll be great. Thank you, Cynthia.
Thanks, Lisa.
I gotta say, we've had some great scribes so far. Considering we've had quite, I mean, these are recorded anyway, so it just has to be kind of look like a summary. So if somebody wants to get a brief description, they can just read a page and figure out what we're doing, you know? So you don't have to get every syllable, but I really appreciate that. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes that were sent out by Peter at 12/7/21 at 10:28 a.m. I think they get bounced around a little bit and revised, and there was a couple, you know, corrections, spellings, or whatever, little minor things. So they looked pretty good to me. I'm going to open up the discussion if anybody has any thoughts on accepting those minutes.
I have not had a chance to fully review it a second time. I know that there was a revision. So I would maybe not be ready to approve them tonight. Maybe we can push it to next week.
Okay. Peter, from the first one to the second one, was it just grammar and spelling, or was there any large corrections?
Nothing large. There were some spelling errors and 2 timestamps were off by 2 hours.
Okay. Okay, it's been my experience that meeting corrections are kind of done in a meeting. So I didn't want to do that, you know, back and forth on the you know, through the email. So great job on the meeting minutes. And I did notice, just, you know, when you're typing fast, there's some grammatical things, and it happens all the time. So has everybody else, what does everybody else besides Tim, what do they think about the minutes? A fair representation of what happened?
I
Aye.
think so.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we do accept those minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Lisa. Okay, I'm gonna go down the list. John,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tim,
Nay.
Peter,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
All right, so that's 6-1 accepting the minutes. That's great. The next thing on our agenda is further review and select existing bylaws in the Commonwealth. It's kind of pretty much what we've been doing right along. I did reach out to Ashland. I had tried the last meeting, but nobody would call me back, so I did finally get a hold of somebody out there. It's my understanding they have a pretty extensive bylaw, which involves, I think, meters, distancing, and zoning, which you know, we brought it up, I think, and it's a couple of our topics, but we haven't really talked about it, to my recollection, as far as the metering aspect of it. So I did reach out on the practicality of it, and I was told that I guess it started originally with maybe there was, I think, a restaurant or a bar that was loud noise, and that was kind of the catalyst for having the bylaw. I don't know how much involvement the police had with it, but short story I got was that there was considerable controversy over where the boundaries are. Like, you had to basically have a map of the different zones in the town, and you had to kind of know where they were. So that was up for interpretation. And there was also debate on property lines. And where that might be. And also, I guess the real debate, which I hadn't even thought of, and maybe some of the engineers or experts in the field, there was some debate on what the reading was reading. Was it the traffic in the area, or was it the actual, I think in this particular case, it was a restaurant that had a entertainment license. So I guess there was some debate on, are we listening to the music or are we listening to a vehicle driving by? So it was my understanding from them that although on face value, it was, in the lab, it would be a perfect thing, but in reality, it didn't work out. It was rather controversial. So I thought that was kind of enlightening. Some problems that I had not anticipated. I don't know if we can make ours to eliminate some of those problems, like maybe taking it from the middle of a public way or something that should be easily, determined. But I don't know. So open for discussion. And that falls under number 4. So anybody have any thoughts?
Can you just kind of reiterate what the problem was again with the other town about that example? So what was the situation again?
There was a restaurant, a bar, I might have had an entertainment license or something, that neighbors were complaining about the music. So I think what happened was they somehow, I don't know the particular details, but a noise bylaw was passed, and then it went into effect. And of course, the people called, and there was some debate on, okay, now you gotta, in reality, somebody's gonna go to the station, get a map, find out the zoning, because they didn't know this particular call was gonna come in apparently. So they had to get a zoning map because I guess their bylaw had zoning involved, and see how that worked out was what, I don't know if the caller was in one zone and the other was, I don't know how it really worked particularly, but there was a zoning issue. So that was that factor, of a question of, we have to figure out where the zones are. And then I think there was a distance involved in like a property line from the property line. And, obviously we're not, the police aren't surveyors. So there was that issue about, where do we take this reading from? Maybe we can overcome that with some different idea, but that was an area of dispute. And then there was, okay, now you get the device, you calibrate whatever you do that, you formulate all that, and then I guess you point it, to where I don't know how they work, but I know you point it, and then is it okay? I guess they're directional or they're not directional, or that's some of the science that maybe you folks can tell. But there was some debate on, well, how do I know that's not a truck on, I think, Route 135 or whatever where they have over there. So there was 3 areas of debate on a kind of a sticky situation. So I'm not sure that was the home run that I would like to see, but just some areas to talk about, and maybe we can do it better. I'd like to see us do it better, because it's my understanding that they're pretty much not using that metering anymore because of that. Maybe if you want to recognize the chief, I don't know if he might have any insight on that. I see he's in the meeting. It's up to you folks whether you want to take his word on it. But I did reach out to somebody I know quite well over there, and I was able to get look, what's the inside scoop? How does this work? And the scoop I got was, hey, it looks great on paper, but in practicality, it did not work.
I think I did hear some things about that Ashland, their experience with noise meters. And I think the lesson learned is the meter's not always going to tell you what you want to hear. So depending on, the rules of where it's taken. In fact, I remember their ex-chief telling me they went so far as to spend $6,000 on a meter. And when they set it up, it wasn't giving them the feedback that, the neighbors wanted. So you have to take that into account. It's not a perfect system. So, and then the feedback I get from checking with people with meters is that they're not really using them. They might have them, but they're not really using them. So that's just something I wanted to avoid when I started this, 4 or 5 years ago, That's what my experience was previously. Maybe the technology's come a long way, and maybe that's what it is. It's just a tool to have in your toolbox. So that's the only feedback I have from that. It's not always going to tell you what you want to hear.
We have two people with their hands up.
Okay, Lisa, I see you have your hand up.
So I was just curious if, along with the meter in Ashland, did they have timeframes specifically around noise from a restaurant or bar? And if there's time cutoffs that came into play here, or was it strictly the intensity of the sound that the people were, concerned about, even within, maybe some guidelines for having that type of activity happening? And then my other question was, how old were the meters? It sounds like the technology has gotten better. And maybe it's just the guidelines that they wrote in the bylaw that you have to take 3 measurements because there could be a passing truck or a passing train or whatever, so that you could, get, 3 measurements, and then, just to get a sense of what that ambient sound is, and then maybe take another, average it out or something, or figure out, what's the reading there
Right.
based on what's happening around the area. And then maybe once again, it's just it's a matter of understanding where we need to take the measurement from and have
Right.
clear guidelines. That's all I wanted to mention.
Yep. To be honest with you, Lisa, I didn't ask really about that kind of detail about it because I thought we had a pretty good handle on that from my last meeting. So I was just kind of foregoing on the items that were kind of under debate. I would imagine they probably do. If they went as far as to have meters, I would imagine they have some sort of hours. I was also kind of wondering why that wasn't on our list because I think we boarded them. So, in any event,
We
I'm
could
not saying that
look back-
these
certainly
things
we can
can't-
go back and look at our spreadsheet to
right.
see.
right.
So those might be the issues that we
Right.
need to keep in mind when, if we get feedback from the public saying,
Right.
we want to go forward, we think that there should be some type of sound measure along with.
Right, and we
the
can share what the experience has been as well. So and it's also, it doesn't mean that we couldn't change it to address some of those problems, like you say, an average of 3 in 10 minutes or whatever it is, and then maybe take a reading from something that's the middle of a public way, which is pretty easily identified, rather than a property line, or I don't know, maybe we can come to a better solution to offset some of those. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but that was at least in the real what happened. Part of it we learned from history, so that happened, and that seems to be the ongoing procedure and result. So why reinvent the wheel if we can learn from the mistakes or how it is actually. Tim, you looks like you got your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to double check, but the meter that I have in my hand is an omnidirectional capsule, which means that it captures sound in every direction. So it's not directional as far as I'm aware, and I could be wrong on that, but it could depend on what kind of meter you have. But the whole point of this is to take an average of the area that you're in, not like a straightforward.
But I guess the debate would be, in this particular case, I would imagine it's by a roadway, a heavily traveled roadway. So if it is multi-directional, is it getting the traffic or the train or whatever, or is it getting the music? Like how do you?
So that's the
how
thing.
do you figure which what it is? Maybe you do the 3, like you said, like Lisa said, you do 3 readings in 15 minutes, but that's still going to be an argument that this guy's going to be able to say in court, hey, look, how do I know it was me? How come it wasn't, I don't know. I mean, you can't go and tell him to turn it down unless you know for sure it's him,
So
in that situation.
Yeah, okay, so there are a couple more things about that. I would say that if the traffic is heavily affecting the reading, then that probably means that the level that was picked for the area, then the level may not be the correct level. So, without getting into like the nuts and bolts and dissecting every single thing about the instance without knowing all the legitimate information, If traffic noise is heavily affecting something like that, then that would probably mean that your ambient, the level picked is below ambient levels to some degree, because the traffic's affecting the rest of what's going on in the measurement. So, and you're also closer to the traffic, so you'd be closer to that. So the intensity of a car passing could be louder. There's a lot of instances in that situation to dissect. And I don't know if it's worth dissecting all of it, but to the meter point, there is a fast and slow response on meters. A fast response takes a sample about every, I think it's almost like every 1 second or so. Again, I have to look that up. It depends per meter, but a slow response is an average of about every 300 milliseconds. So you're getting about, a third of a second average of the sound intensity that you're getting as that sound carries out. So you're starting to kind of really spread out the time that you're measuring that sound to start to get a number on the meter. These are just some things that just to fundamentally know and understand about how the meters work in situations like this, for when they would, why they would or wouldn't be appropriate for a certain specific instance. But this is not $6,000. This is $160.
Okay. Yeah, I did not hear it was, I asked how much it was, and, I was told it was wasn't expensive, but, I don't know what the chief had over there. But anyway, that was just some research that I did. I forget what I was going to say. About Tim, didn't we talk about, I think in the, when we were going to do a virtual meeting, we talked about like a directional microphone. Can you describe, is that something that might be like a more appropriate, where it has like almost like a, I don't know, it sees a,
Well,
you
the way
point it
that,
at something and you get a reading?
well, there's a lot to dissect there. There's something called the inverse square law, and that's about how sound perpetuates out from a point source. And as it moves as it doubles the distance away from the source, it gets half the intensity, because the surface area of what that wave is covering continuing to get wider and wider and wider. If you would think of like a dome, and you'd go closer to the center of the dome, the rings are much smaller than the furthest away point.
Yeah.
So the same thing's happening with sound. It's a logarithmic experience, and it just keeps doubling down in perceived level as you double the distance. So
Is that like a wave, like a water wave? The further it goes, it gets smaller.
You could assimilate it similarly to that, but it's not a perfect one-to-one. But you could kind of use it as a mental picture to kind of help understand what's going on, because the sound is a wave, and if you think about how a wave goes up and down as it keeps going, and each one of those up and downs is a ripple, that's kind of like how your sound source, your actual, what you hear is doing this. It's creating pressure zones. And then those pressure zones have an amplitude, and that's what creates the sound that you actually hear, is that amplitude of that sound. So the lower the sound, the further apart they are, the higher the sound, the closer they are. That's why higher frequencies don't carry as far. They're so close together and they're so small. They just hit something and they stop. And then it's kind of like,
That's why you hear the bass of these cars driving by. You hear the boom, boom, boom. You hear that.
Yeah, you hear that, but it also has to do with there's more going on there because of how the wavelength travels. You can hear them as they hit the different points more. There's a lot going on in how sound actually works and the physics involved in it. More so than we really need to dive deep into for the conversations that we are having right now. But to answer your question about a directional versus omnidirectional mic, you wouldn't necessarily want to measure with a directional microphone. You can, but you need to. I'd have to do some more research so I don't misspeak and pass along bad information. I don't know if John has some more knowledge that he would want to speak to this particular subject, but I am not an expert when it comes to picking a microphone for a measurement in relation to kind of what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add, if you guys can hear me, is a lot of what Tim is describing is in a theoretical lab setup, very controlled and so forth. we're going to be dealing with out in the real world, angry citizens, a police officer trying to enforce something. From my point of view, I would run away from this thing as much as possible because you cannot win with this. Because even when I have noise meters at home that, before having kids, I had money so I could buy some stuff. But even when I start measuring stuff, it's like it's all over the point, and you have to, if you really want a real measurement, it's really have a controlled method. And when I used to work at Bose, it's a science and art, and my recommendation is, this is where Lee and I had mentioned about qualitative versus quantitative. I would avoid this measurement stuff as much as possible, because we're going to confuse our citizens with this.
Okay, thank you. Cindy? Your hand up.
I guess Pete or Ken, you mentioned that, I think you both mentioned that the use of the meters hasn't been real successful. So what are the towns doing? I mean, did they stop enforcing the bylaw in Ashland? Are they doing the officer's discretion? How is that working? Any info?
It's
Answer that.
my
I can answer
understanding
that.
that they're going with the other parts of the bylaw, like for instance, if they had hours and or just disturbing the peace or keep a disorderly house. I mean, the current law is basically what kind of South Pro is doing now for the most part. There are some chapters and sections you can be used there. I think we could do better than that, but I think what we have going with the hours, I think is a great start anyway. That would be my thought. So whether I don't know if honestly, I should have asked if they had the hours. I don't know if somebody could maybe peek at that spreadsheet, see if it says it on there, but
I can answer
go
the
ahead, Peter.
experience.
Go ahead.
I spoke to Bill Ricca's police department at least 3 times about this. And they said, and theirs is the version of the bylaw that got brought to the town meeting. And it lists hours as well as sound levels. They have sound meters. They haven't been using them. So the officer told me if they show up and tell somebody there's a complaint, it usually is enough to take care of it. They don't even have to use the meter.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's,
And Chief,
firsthand
did you have
evidence from
something?
people doing it. Pardon?
Chief, did you have something you were going to add? You said you had some information.
Yeah, I did. So if push ever comes to shove and we say you can't solve a problem and you issue a ticket based on a noise meter, I called the ADA over in Westboro several years ago and I said, does the court recognize any one type of brand or some calibration company which certifies this in the court? And he said, to his knowledge, no. So if you went to court, I think Pete Goodney knows when we take our radar guns out, there's only maybe a few certain manufacturers who make them. You got to do an internal calibration. You got to do a tuning fork calibration. We have an outside company that comes in yearly to issue a certificate that say that they tested it. And somebody fights a simple speeding ticket, you better have all that stuff up to date in your file. The ADA at that time said, he didn't have any knowledge that, you can go buy a noise meter from Amazon or the internet or whatever. But if push came to shove in court, they wouldn't look at that device as something reliable. All that
As of 5 years ago.
All that being said, and you saw the list, even in my time here, 99% of all the noise problems that we have, they're solved. We go up to the neighbor, we explain that it's out of line, they lower the pool music, they quiet the potty, they shut down the fireworks. Might have to go back one or 2 times and remind them. The ones in my experience, we had like Ken's Foods, which an ongoing business. So you have to look at that differently. The construction work, which setting times and barriers on that, very simple. You're working outside the timelines. They don't want to comply. You can issue the ticket. A lot of this stuff is very solvable through common sense, community policing, having neighbors work together. I think what we're looking at is introducing the lawn equipment and landscapers, which is really going to throw a wedge into this. Nobody wants to be mowing their lawn, using a leaf blower or anything like that, and see the police car pull in and people pointing meters at them. So I can see companies or large projects where it's ongoing. We try to talk sense into people. Maybe you can use a noise meter at that point to settle an ongoing problem. But I'm going to tell you, we're not going to have any success with, officers pulling into people's driveways that are, using a leaf blower in the fall and pointing a meter at them. We got to have some common ground to have the police officers have discretion in all means, and whether that's traffic enforcement, enforcing the law, and especially this, it's really going to create some emotions. So we got to make sure that we get it right.
Okay. Lee, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the chief, and the sentiment that I'm hearing that, numbers are nice. I mean, I'm a quantitative kind of a guy, but I think that whether you say like 10 dB over ambient, if ambient is, a certain level, I think it's going to be hard to enforce. And, in the leaf blower case, that's for certain, as soon as they see you, they shut it off and now you've got nothing to measure. So, and the reality is, what the person who's calling the police wants is they want the noise to stop. And I think, as the chief said, is, sometimes just a word or sometimes two words, is enough to, to sort of like quiet the noise, at least on that occasion. So we'll collect information, I think, at our hearing and in our survey. But my sense is that strict dB numbers are probably not going to be the thing that works out. Having, I'll stop there.
Okay. And listening to the chief, what it did remind me of is I was in charge of traffic in Westboro, and part of being a certified operator is not only do you have to take the 40-hour class and understand all the Doppler effect and all the side effects for radar, you also have to do 16 hours of operation, and you have to see a car, guess the speed, and then with the radar, and it has to be within 5 miles per hour. So it has to be, you have to kind of calibrate your views of the vehicle too. So basically you're getting like a second reading, like the officers, okay, I estimated him at 50, I got the radar and he was going 47. And if you can't do that, I think there's for like, I forget the number of times, like 10 times in a row, you have to have a certified operator watch you do this. If you can't do that, you don't get certified. So it is very complicated when you have devices. I thought when we last meeting when we had I don't know where she was from, but she talked about a pizza place with a fan, and that they would use it, could possibly use a meter like an exhaust fan where you take a measurement with the fan on and a measurement with the fan off. I don't know if that's during like some sort of inspection, like a Board of Health inspection or something. That seems like it would be a perfect use for a meter, because it's more of a controlled atmosphere. Where you can turn things on and off, and you're right there, and then you probably whatever you're in, whatever a business you're dealing with is required to have whatever she was from, Board of Health, or I don't know where it was.
That's the other member of our committee, the
Heather.
member
Heather.
and
Heather Elkers,
yeah, and that's
Okay.
off the
What is she from? Is she Board of Health?
Board of Health.
She's a director of the Board of Health. I have my hand
So
up.
is that something that they do like at a business? They take like
that's
they
the
do inspections? Like, is that what they do?
That's a DEP regulation.
Okay.
That's what was in the meeting last week when she spoke about it during the public comment.
Okay.
The 10 dBA in the ambient, and I think her comment was that's mostly the EPA enforces it, and it's geared towards building, like HVAC and stuff like
Okay.
that runs all the time.
So so that issue's already handled then by them, right? For the most part. All right, Peter, I
As far
see
as the-
is your hand still up or is?
Yep, it's still up.
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Okay, so Lee hit the nail on the head. The reality is, we've heard that Southport police show up and tell people to quiet down, and they quiet down. Well, the reality is, in the experience that I've had, and I'm sure Lisa has had, is it's much different than that. There is no enforcement. And what we're told repeatedly is there is no bylaw, so there's nothing they can do. It's happened to me on multiple occasions, and it's happened to Lisa even more. So I don't want confusion to exist over that. Secondly, we've been going for a half an hour now. We're still on sound level meters.
Yes.
Are we planning on running this till 10 o'clock tonight? Because I won't be
don't
here
feel
till
that-
10.
To Peter, to be honest with you, I don't feel well. I hope not. I'm gonna try and move things along.
Okay, then
If,
we need to move along then.
Right, I'm gonna try, but I mean, we're having great discussion, you know? And I wanna make sure everybody has the right, you know, the ability to talk. And including you, Lisa, you're next.
So I was going to make a suggestion. So I thought maybe we could skip over a couple of these and go right to the survey, because I know that we need to get ready for next week for the
Right.
public hearing.
Yep.
And the work that John, Tim, and I did this week, we've kind of pulled together the survey. You all looked at it. I think it may be a really good format to hold the public hearing and then ask them to go to the survey after. So I'm thinking maybe we could kind of cut to the survey, talk about the questions that we're going to be asking the public, talk about the format for the or the agenda for the public hearing. And then I think we need to also talk about the promotion of the public hearing and how we can get the word out before the 15th arrives.
So,
I think that's kind of maybe needs to be top of list because
Yep.
it's next week.
right. I
That's
hear
just
you.
a suggestion.
That's why it's on the agenda. All right, number 5. I'm comfortable passing by number 5. We can, review and possible vote on topics to be considered for the vote. I mean, that's pretty much a running thing we've been doing every week. So if you want to go to number 6, discussion of the future public open meeting. I had a couple thoughts on this. First of all, we got a definitive, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody out there, did we decide we were going to try and do a hybrid? Because there are some significant technological challenges there. Tim seems to think he can do it, but it would have to be, we'd have to vote on it for sure. I think we'll register the vote tonight, whether we want to have virtual or a split one, where you always have to have the virtual component. And otherwise, as we could have I viewed a meeting today, a bunch of detectives in a room, and then a bunch of us were in virtual, and it was a nightmare as far as the audio goes, but we didn't have any Bose employees that were there. So I'm confident that, maybe Tim could handle straightening that out. The other thing I was thinking of with the meeting is, and something that, an idea I had was, if Tim's got a meter, I would like to experiment with that and see, maybe we can get a leaf blower, we make a couple measurements, and I want to see how that works before I can get behind it. I want to hold it in my hand. I want to see, if we're going that route, and I don't know that we are, but if we do, I want hands-on. I can't vote for anything that I haven't tried it, because I don't want to be driving around town and run into one of the Southborough guys and goes, "What were you guys thinking?" And something obvious happened that we didn't look at.
Is that something you and Tim could do offline?
Well, that's something I wanted to talk about as a committee. I don't know who's involved, or I don't know if we could incorporate that in that we've done some research and, I don't know what to do, but I think we should conduct, because I don't, these numbers, I'm just, numbers that people send me or that we talk about are just, they haven't been certified as far as, to my knowledge, to me. Like, I can't really say what they are. I have a leaf blower. I could bring a leaf blower. I have 100-foot tape. I could bring a tape. We could, experiment. I don't know what you guys think about that. Just kind of throwing that out there. If anybody's interested or not interested, if we could get a couple members to do it, or if some people just don't care, they're just going to go with it. Just kind of wanted to get a feel for that.
Peter?
Yes,
Well,
go ahead,
Lee,
Doug.
Lee had his hand up first. Sorry, Lee.
Oh, sorry, Lee, I didn't see that.
Mine
Excuse me, I
wasn't
got a
on,
cold.
mine wasn't on this subject. So if you want to finish this and then
So,
get back, mine was on whether to be virtual.
Peter, I will
So
drop
finish
you
it.
off my noise meter. And if you do what I did, is every time you see a crew do a yard next to it, bring the noise meter, start measuring. There's no way I'm going to recommend any noise meters. You're handcuffing the police officers. You'll see the measurements go all over the place. But yeah, I can give you my noise meter to go play with.
Is anybody else interested in seeing it for themselves? It's fine if you don't. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, obviously Tim's played with a meter before, John has, and I haven't, but
and everybody, just prior to the last meeting when with Peter and Lee's recommendation, I had actually measured all my equipment with my meter at certain feet and so forth, and it violated what was being proposed. And that's why I said there's no way that would pass. And when I was measuring it, I was trying to be more scientific, actually set the meter properly, set max, walk away, turn on the equipment, let it idle for a while. It's we're not scientific people. This is crazy. So I would not want to handcuff any officer from even thinking of pulling a meter out and having the issue I see is, and I feel bad for Lisa and what she's described that she's dealing with. You just have a few unreasonable neighbors that
Everywhere.
and this bylaw is not going to address most of those. I don't think. I mean, beyond the time constraints, I don't know how we deal with somebody who's being aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point there, that, you can go with the time constraints, but what if there's this very intense noise that people are doing for 3 hours and it's really intrusive, and it may be in the time frame, but like your ears have had enough of it. And so with that, is it a matter of coming out with the meter and saying, you've violated this law, we want you to stop? And maybe it's just mediation with the police. And I don't know if the person's going to say, well, you'll have to take me to court over this, but at least there's some type of measurement in place that could maybe have that person stop and realize that there's a health issue there.
So, sorry, quick question, Peter and Chief Paulus. Could an enforcement be that they have to cease all noise until a meter or a noise measurement could be made? And the reason I say this is either that or just reduce the noise and the police officer goes away. But if they don't comply, then could there be an enforcement to just shut down all noise for 24 hours, then when we can actually get an official measurement of the site? What I'm trying to think is there a
like a timeout,
is there a
timeout.
heavy hand that I could say,
Yeah.
look, be reasonable, I'm going to shut you down for 24 hours?
There is laws on the books, keeper of a disorderly house, disturbing the peace. If there's something that's egregious that there's no legitimate purpose for, some guy just blowing an air horn for 9 hours, that is something that is upsetting to the neighbors. You don't need a decibel meter for that. That you just go to court and tell the clerk that the guy was blowing an air horn. It sounded like a truck horn, for 9 hours straight, and it's going to be up to the clerk it's going to have to be reasonable. And the clerk's going to say that's disturbing the peace. It's kind of a common sense thing for the most part. That's kind of what everything is kind of based on, a common sense. When you get technical, it is when we open up all those interpretations, because you go from the qualitative to the subjective reasoning, which is quite a bit different. I see some hand. Peter, I see a hand.
Yeah, I have a comment about this subject. I highly recommend getting together with, I don't have his last name in front of me, but a young man named Jason. He was on the first round of interviews for this committee. He has
not Jay from the. Are you talking about Jay Montillo, the IT guy, or a different guy?
No,
Jason.
that's not.
Okay.
Jason. He has modern equipment and he seems very knowledgeable about it. He said he brought a sound meter to the interviews that he said works fine. It's like a, homeowner grade. He said it's $15. He said, if you want a professional grade one, it's $50. So the prices come down a lot on them. I don't know, John, how old your kids are, but you've had your sound meter for however many years they've been around, and maybe
I have
before.
an industrial grade sound meter that's calibrated for network equipment. So my stuff is, it's not just for homeowners. So I'm telling you, when you start playing with this thing, the numbers go all over the place. And unless you're really trained to use it.
Okay, well, I think he either works at Bose or he's done internship at Bose or something. Anyway, he seemed very knowledgeable about it. I'll get his last name and send it to you, Pete Goodney.
Yep. Okay. I mean, keep in mind, these are going to be.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep the notes.
Yeah.
And this started out to be a discussion about how are we going to hold the public hearing?
Right.
And now we've sort of jumped into everybody talking about, well, if this is going to happen and if it's going to be, I don't know what to capture here, or if we just need to refocus and go back to the topic, which I believe was.
You'll have the video in any case.
Right. Lee, are you, I'll give you one comment. And then
I think I want to do what Cindy is saying and have us refocus back on the public hearing, because we're really sort of rehashing again discussion we just had for the previous half hour.
Right.
So, I think though that one of the things that Lisa said was health, and the email that I had alluded to that I wanted to talk about at some point during this meeting had to do with, the health consequences of noise. And there are definite health consequences to noise, whether it's related to stress, cardiovascular, neurologic, but we know that that's the reason why we're here. And the reason why I haven't spoken up about it before was essentially that that's not what we're trying to do. We already know why we're here. What we need to do is to figure out what we're going to do about it. And then we can talk about how that relates to, whether that improves the health of the citizens of Southborough after we figure out what the town might actually even consider voting. But I think health, I got into saying health because if we're talking about virtual versus hybrid, I think particularly with the Omicron variant being out there, that in my mind that there is no doubt that we should be 100% virtual for our hearing next week.
Okay, so my thought was, and my sense is that any experimentation is going to be done individually, not as a group. So that part of the component is off the table. Is that kind of what everybody's sensing? So that my thought was.
I've been doing it with my watch during this meeting, and just for people talking, the spikes go from about 52 decibels at a distance of about 3 feet from my speaker to like about 65 decibels, depending on who's talking and how loud they talk. And that's exactly the sort of what John's was saying, the readings are all over the place because it's that kind of noise.
I guess my thought was, we're talking about the meeting, and if there was any appetite for experiment while we were all together, and possibly some of us were going to actually be present, we could do the experiment then. Now, if that's, I get the sense that that is not the case, so that's wonderful, that's great, we'll do our own experiments. So now I want to entertain, how do we, I'm going to put a motion that we make the meeting 100% virtual. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
That was second by Lee. So I'm going to run down the list and do a vote. John,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
and then myself. So the meeting is going to be 100% virtual. That's great. We had kind of talked about a.
You didn't state your vote.
I said I agree as well. So aye.
Okay.
It's unanimous. We had a document about how we were going to hold the meeting, different things to talk about. I think Tim might have circulated it.
So we're talking about the survey questions.
No, that's different. I have that too.
Okay.
No,
I think there was, I don't know, I don't remember exactly who sent it, but it starts with days and hours, homeowner hours, contract hours, feedback topics for public forum.
it's the list that was created.
Right,
I
it's
believe.
basically a summary of the list. Has everybody looked at that and thought that that might be a good way to run the meeting, or at least topics to talk about?
Mhm.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Or you can say no,
Yeah.
I'll just,
Yep,
it's
I've
not,
got it.
it's only one sheet of paper, so it's not,
That one.
that's it.
We use that to create the survey questions.
Okay. Do we want to use that pretty much guideline to run the meeting as well?
Uh,
I think the survey may be a great way to run the questions. Do we want
Survey
to
will-
do a survey
Look, it'll cover everything that's in this sheet.
list? Yeah, because we formulated the survey questions off of this sheet, and we did it in a way so it wouldn't be leading, and
Right.
that people would have a choice. And even if we just have discussion around topics, I think that's fine. And then if people want to go and complete the survey to have their feedback collected, that might be the best way so that they can start to make choices around days and times, et cetera.
So I love the survey. I thought it was a great job. That's the next thing. But I wanted to talk about how we're going to run the next meeting. And I don't want to have anybody be upset that we hadn't talked about why do we run it that way. I want to kind of come to an agreement on how we're going to run that next meeting, because it's a public meeting and it is important. We're also going to talk about how we're going to advertise the meeting. Let's focus on that right now. And then the survey, I think, my hope is, I like what you guys did. 3 of the committee members did it. And I like it. There's 4 right there. So that shouldn't be a huge discussion. I think that's going to be a quick one. So Peter and I can get to bed. But I want to talk about how we're going to do the meeting. So if we have the meeting and we do a little history on where we've been, where we've come from so far, basically that, the research we've done, some of the topics we've talked about, some of the things we kind of pseudo agreed on, some of the hours and maybe some of the stipulations, contractor versus homeowner, at least some of those concepts. So the public knows, so then I don't want to have everybody repeating what we've done already. They want to say, okay, they're on the ball. They know what's going on. I have some, get some confidence, get some rapport with the public that shows up. And then maybe go through some of these, the infamous list, dogs, fire, whatever, all generators, so exclusions, that kind of thing. It could be very similar to the survey, but the charge says we have to do 3 meetings. The charge didn't say anything about the survey. So it may be a duplication, and we may stay at the meeting. Hey, if you didn't get a chance to talk, make sure you put your notes in the survey. We can do that as well. So Tim, you have your hand.
I just want to make one quick point. Peter had his hand up first, but I just wanted to say that we should say we didn't agree to anything.
Right.
It should just be, we feel that this is a good direction or position to start with, and we were seeking public input to move from there. That was the only thing I wanted to say.
Right. I mean, we did obviously we haven't done a final draft, but we did kind of reach somewhat of a consensus on some hours. If we were to go that route, we did survey the whole committee, and so there were compromises made on both ends. So that should be noted. Peter, I think you were next one with your hand up.
Yeah, I was actually first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't keep track. Sorry.
I guess we need, what is the point of the public hearing? Is that to obtain public input, or is this a question and answer session? Is it an exchange? Or are we just getting comments from the public? Because if it's the latter,
I'm going to guess it's to let the public have a chance to voice their opinions.
okay, then if that's the purpose, then we
I'm going
want
to guess.
to take great care to not influence them. We're gathering their ideas. We don't want to tell them what we've talked about and decided in advance, because that's going to color their input, and we don't want to do that. We want to hear from them. We can tell them we've had discussions. Maybe we can tell them we've talked about things, but we don't want to. I don't think we want to share.
Everything that we would say is all part of our public record. It's all part of the meeting minutes. It's not nothing.
They can look that up.
Secret. It's
they
all
can look that up anytime.
Right.
But we don't want to steer them.
We're not steering anybody. By telling us what we've done is not steering anybody. It's been my experience when you open up people to public comment, they do, like you said at the town meeting, they do zero homework. They have no idea what they're talking about, and things don't get done right. So if we can at least tell them this is all open public, this is what we've done from the first meeting to now. We've looked at the A, B, C, D. We're still formulating. We don't even have a rough draft.
No, we're not in agreement on most of the things we've discussed. We're
That's
pretty
correct.
evenly split on most things.
But we talked about it, Peter.
So how is that going to be presented?
Well, I mean, if you
'Cause you
want,
can't tell them-
I don't know.
You can't tell them, oh, we're in agreement on this, because we're not. Some people are, and some people are in agreement on something else among this committee.
All right, well, you know what? We'll just let them talk, and then if you want, you think that you're going to be up late tonight, you're going to be up late that night. That's what I'm trying to do: streamline things and get some public confidence that we've actually put some effort into this. Because the average person that walks in a room is not going to know they're going to want to know. What have you guys done? I think.
Can I make
Go
a
ahead,
suggestion?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, the survey's awesome.
Right.
It is awesome, you guys. But if you're going to present information, if you're going to hold a public hearing, you have to say something. And what I would suggest is you put up the list, sorry about the snowflake paper, the list that we created that the survey questions were formulated for, and say, these are the things that we are discussing. To Peter's point, we have no agreement amongst this committee. We are still researching. Our charge is to collect some public feedback. We want to know what people are thinking of when we talk about a noise bylaw. Here's some of the things we're looking at, may or may not be in it. What do you want to tell us?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pure and simple, and then just listen to them and take notes for more discussion later on as we come up with the thing. And oh, by the way, would you people please be the first people to take the survey?
Yep.
Pure and simple.
That's great, with no opinion either way.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Lee, you have your hand up?
I think yeah. So, my thoughts on this. First, I think the survey's good. I think it's great. I would include the last couple of questions in it. The additional items, 7 and 8, I would include in them. And I might actually move them up a little bit to be discussed, to ask the questions, a little bit earlier on, so that, perhaps people, when they got up to maybe comment on, on one of the other issues, they would say, well, I've had, I have trouble falling asleep, every night because, or my children do, which was the comment that I put back to the three of you, was that, in terms of the hours, a lot of it's going to be determined if you're trying to get a kid to sleep at 6:30 or 7 or 7:30 at night, and the hours go till 9 o'clock at night, that's a potential problem. And that's so, to Peter's point, exactly what Cindy said. When we start the hearing, we say, our purpose here tonight is to gather information. The committee has talked about a number of things. The range of topics are indicated by the survey. We want to hear your opinion.
All
The
right.
final comment that I have that I wanted to add, that hasn't been brought up, is particularly with the survey, but even with the people coming to the public hearing, how do we know they're actually from Southborough?
I mean, maybe we could make it like a town meeting. You gotta say your name and address. You gotta identify yourself.
Yeah.
Like a town meeting, you gotta get up and say, Pete Goodney, 5 Sunrise Drive. I guess we could.
I think that's probably good for the public hearing. I'm not sure that so the two problems with the survey is, on the one hand, we need something to try to validate the survey,
right.
But on the other hand, if you ask them to identify themselves up front, you may get less participation.
Right.
A possible workaround would be for somebody to send to the IT coordinator or whatever of the town, saying, I'd like to participate in the survey, by clicking on a link, and they would put it in, and then they would then receive an anonymous survey. Once basically the IT person had, verified that at least they were putting in a name and address that was here in Southborough.
Could we make that one of the questions? Where you live, or?
So
They already have that.
So we brought this up when we were creating the survey, so it kind of seems like we should just dive into this and then maybe double back on answering other things. To answer the question about the people in the location where they are, we talked about it, and then we decided that the town has done this before. So we felt that we were doing a certain level of reinventing a wheel that's already been invented. So we took a back seat to that and said we can bring those conversations back up if the IT department says that we should do it a certain way. So we took a back seat there. We purposely omitted that sort of information, and we just added a piece at the very end that says, please add your email address if you'd like more information. So we can start to create a mailing list that we could use for any future communications as this would progress. So that was the one thing that we did talk about to try to do it. As for the other questions that were in the survey that were to be considered later, there was some discussion that I'd like to have about these. It seems like now might be a good time that the three of us had some discussions and lengthy discussions about the inclusion or omittance of these questions. One of them is kind of a bit of redundancy. These were kind of asked about times of, these were kind of ways to ask beginning or end times in a way that's a little bit more, could be considered polarizing or could be considered human. It could be a lot of things. So we had already had the start and end time questions down, and we decided that it'd be best for the group and not just three of us to decide whether they should be kept, where they should go, and should something else be taken away as a result of keeping these, to try to keep the survey short. So we should really, this is probably the lengthiest part of our discussion on this tonight of the survey, but we were doing our best to try to keep everything as unopinionated and unpolarizing, so that way people would give honest feedback as they went through it, and they would really pick their own conclusions as they went through.
Can I
I have my
just
hand
add-
up.
Can I just add on to what Tim had to say? Oh, go ahead.
Peter
I'm
had
sorry.
his hand up first, so.
Go ahead, Peter.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, yeah, to Lee's point, I think as far as the survey goes, my first concern is that there has to be some way to validate that who's ever replying to the survey is a registered voter in Southborough. Because anybody can take the survey and turn it in. And secondly, Lee has already weighed in on questions 7 and 8, and he supports their presence, and I believe he stated that they should be up near the top.
Yes.
So you've got one person's input on that. I'd like to agree that I think they should be present in the survey as well, and closer to the top.
Well, why don't we try and focus on how we're going to validate the people?
Because if we can't, anybody can reply, and you can get it thrown. You can get it skewed.
Can I have a point of order?
Reply multiple times.
Can I have a point of order about that one for a second?
Sure, go ahead.
I think that we should not talk about validating the feedback here. I think that it's not our space to do this, because the town has done the survey before, and
you're assuming they've already taken care of it. If you're going to take point on it, that's fine, and ensure that the town can guarantee that only registered voters can take the survey.
I'm happy to follow up with the town. I just think that we don't know all about the survey back end, and we're trying to solve something that may have already been solved. I just don't want us to spend all of our night on it. It's my point of order.
Well, if you can provide that assurance to the group, then that's fine.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So on that, so ensuring, when we go to have the survey set up in the system, asking if we can ensure it's only registered voters. And also, I think I heard Lee say they can only take it one time. Certainly something to ask about. Those are important. I just wanted to mention that those two
Lisa,
questions.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Take it once, and what was the other point?
So that we ensure only registered voters. So when we go to the town and ask, as well as, is there any way that we can limit it to a person just taking it once? So those two questions at the end were actually they were actually positioned after the question about thinking about the last 12 months. So it was almost a way of getting them to think about how noise affects them, and get them thinking about noise, sounds. Does it affect their sleep? Because it's obviously a health issue if it's affecting their sleep. And trying to just kind of keep it, no, I haven't had any issue waking up, or maybe I have. So it kind of positions people to start thinking about it. And I think those are good questions. And so I just wanted you to know that those questions were initially set up right after that, that main question there, to get people to think about noise.
I wonder if the IP addresses are recorded when they respond to the survey.
I would think they would be able to. The only problem would be, what if you take it from a portable device and you're not on a network inside of Southborough? Would we reject such a survey?
You can use a browser that'll mask your IP address.
But I think, yes, I totally agree. I mean, you can use a VPN and they'll think you're in Southeast Asia or something if you want. But I think that may be implying that the people will be more nefarious in reporting to this survey than I think probably. I could see more that, a landscaper that Cindy didn't work for would come and try to get all their employees to, submit multiple surveys from a neighboring town, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think if we did ask for the IP addresses, I mean, and we saw a bunch that were all the same, we might maybe not. I don't know. Would they be as valid? I don't know. We might be a little suspicious of those answers. Maybe, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you would do with them is you would separate out those responses. You'd look at them, but you would separate them out from the rest of the rest of the group.
So does that question go on with the other two questions that Tim's gonna check out when he talks to the IT person?
So IP address.
Yeah, to add,
We can ask all these questions. I'm fine with asking them. I just think that they're the right people to get the answers from. So
Yeah.
just-
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
all right.
I think just as simply asking them, how do we ensure the integrity of our survey?
Okay. I'll when I forward this to Vanessa Hale, I think is the one who said she would handle it. I'll ask her, we want to be assured that, there's no, that they're, not, there's no funny business going on, that they're legitimate responses. And like you say, how does that happen? And see, hopefully she has an answer.
Right.
Has everybody looked at everybody's looked at the survey, I would imagine, correct? And I know there's been a little bit of discussion on maybe moving some questions around, or the ones in yellow we want to talk about. Is that true? And I see that Lisa has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have taken it down.
Okay. I love the survey. I think it's great. I think they did a fantastic job on it. I like the way how it's, kind of, non-biased. It's just kind of looking for the facts. I'm comfortable with the yellow questions.
Well,
I kind of
on
want
the
to open
yellow,
up a discussion. And it looks like John has his hand up.
So Lisa did say that she did have these at the beginning of the survey and so forth, and we did discuss it. The only reason I was more against these was because it was not in the nature of the sort of being an agnostic survey. I do like these type of questions. If we had, let's say, 5 type of questions like this that talked about different scenarios related to noise beyond sleep, were you disturbed, during the day, or, have you lived next to a construction site where the noise is all day? So if there was a set of, let's say, 5 examples of typical noise violations, that could be useful for us to get feedback. But I was against these because they didn't really have the agnostic approach that the team put together up front.
Those 3, well, at least the last 2 are somewhat open-ended. But
the good feedback, though.
Right. Yeah.
They're really good
It's not
feedback.
like they're not appropriate. They're certainly appropriate, and I would be interested in people's answers.
But if my recommendation is, if you do add those 2, I think you could come up with 3 more, or some very small number of typical noise violations. Does your neighbor have a rooster, Lee, right?
Exactly. Or do they run a kennel?
Right.
I know, but one of the things I'm worried about is, I haven't had this, but if somebody was building a house next to mine, there's construction noises all day. I could see how that could disturb, little kids in the house next door. That would be useful to know, if, how often that could occur. Heather, you might have some feedback on different examples of unhealthy noises beyond just, disturbing the sleep.
Summer near turnpikes I've heard from. Lawn equipment is the big thing in the day. And then some complain that they're near sort of a restaurant or a business that has HVAC. That needs to be required. And then, construction. Those are probably ones people have called about. But I would favor not a super long survey too. So I'm not necessarily advocating to add any questions.
Could I ask the person sharing their screen to please stop sharing it? Because I have my screen set up with things I'm trying to look at simultaneously, and it keeps taking over my screen. Thank you.
I have no problem with the, those, we've had, anybody have any further? Oh, we have a couple of hands up. Cindy, go ahead.
Where'd I go? I was just going to suggest that the, those last two questions be a little broader. It's like, we don't care if there's noise within their home that's keeping them awake. But just make it a little more generic. Does noise in your neighborhood I guess it would be regarding noise in your neighborhood. Does
So you wanted
noise
to-
in your neighborhood
You wanted
prevent
to
you
read
from
that the
falling
outside
asleep?
noise is coming within your house as a result of outside noise rather than your own dog inside your house barking?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
And
Yeah, I guess.
you know, how
that
often,
is a-
and the same thing on the next question is, you know, does noise in your neighborhood
How
wake
about if
you
we
up?
just say, yeah, how about we say from your neighborhood?
Yeah,
Is that,
yeah.
is that good on both of those cases? As a
Anybody
result of
have-
being exposed to these noises from your neighborhood,
Yeah,
that kind of takes out within your house, because we're not, obviously, we're not going to be dealing with people with that. So what do you guys think about that? Okay, on both those questions, and Lisa,
Yep.
get your hand up.
Oh, so I just wanted to,
I mean, let's just try and get an answer on the from your neighborhood. Does everybody like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's take a vote.
that's fine.
Take a
I
vote.
have one comment before we take a vote.
Go ahead, Tim.
I forget what exact words we picked, but we were kind of being careful about the way that it was phrased from your neighborhood in your home. Because theoretically, like, it's from a sound source nearby in your neighborhood. I don't know if from your neighborhood like really dictates exactly that situation. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I mean, I just we were trying to be kind of careful about like how your neighborhood is viewed when you're, mostly at your house where these noises are and where the complaints would come from.
Well,
So
I mean, you're going to be complaining
trying to
about your
balance-
neighbor.
Yeah, we're trying to balance like your neighbor versus like you're at your house and then, your neighbor's noises are coming across the line to where you are versus you walking down the street and somebody's getting their lawn taken care of, but you were on the walk with your dog. So it was kind of like we were trying hard to balance that before, and I forget what the exact words we had were, but that was the one context we were trying to make sure we covered properly. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but I wanted to bring that up.
So maybe something like surrounding your home.
Yeah, I like that one. I think it
I like that.
covers a need of what it is a little bit better.
How about from your neighborhood at your house? Like,
I like surrounding your home. I think that
Okay.
that one really encapsulates the idea of you're at your space and not just like on a walk, which I think is
Right.
a fair delineation at this moment.
so how do you want? Just read the question the way.
Result of being exposed.
Read the question the way you want it to be written. Where do you want that to be put in?
So I will just share my screen again. Sorry, Peter.
Within or surrounding.
Just read it.
So I rewrote it right here so we can all see it in real time. As a result of being exposed to these noises surrounding your home, how often per week do you have trouble falling asleep?
Okay.
I would suggest, how often does noise surrounding your home give you trouble falling asleep?
We can wordsmith this all night.
Okay.
Well,
So-
I would like to.
We're almost there, Peter. We're almost there.
I think if those next two questions actually refer back to the first question, which actually asks you to think about a variety of noises, which John had kind of referred to, the lawn equipment, the construction, the business noise. And then, so after that, the previous question that kind of says, hey, think about these noises. Then we go into, as a result of being exposed to these noises surrounding your home, how often per week do you have trouble falling asleep? So I think it's kind of, you're reflecting back to those noises that you are thinking about. And do they affect you at all? Or maybe they don't at all. And do they affect you or don't they?
Right.
And
Yeah,
so,
but to me, being exposed to something, especially these days, means you ought to have a problem with this. It just, I don't know, I just have a problem with just those words. And maybe I'm
Right.
being too picky.
as a result of
I think the
being-
way they just wrote it, how often do noises of surrounding your home cause you trouble falling asleep? I think I don't think that could be stated any simpler. Peter, you have your hand up?
I forgot what it was at this point.
Well, we can call you back again. Lisa, okay, everybody's, okay.
I guess I was going to comment on, for an example, there was noise around my home today because two neighbors were having yard work done, leaf removal, and they had the huge truck vacuum cleaner thing,
Yeah,
as well as backpack leaf blowers. It went on for about 3.5 hours. And I went outside with my phone, just with a little, phone decimeter app,
Yep.
and standing in my yard, and they were across the street and down one house, they measured up to 80 decibels. So in my house, it was loud. That's why I went outside to see how loud does it sound. I put ear mufflers on before I went out. And yeah, it was very loud. And like I say, it lasted for 3.5 hours. So surrounding my home.
So I think there might be a typo in that sentence for the survey question. I think it should be does, not, no, I don't know.
can you bring that up again, Tim?
Yeah, go ahead, pull it up again.
Sorry, Peter.
I just fixed that.
Okay, gotcha.
I was trying not to make you guys watch me retype this into real complete sentences. But
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
fine with
great.
that.
So do we want to do the same thing for the number 8?
Yes.
How often do noises surrounding your home cause you to be awakened prematurely?
Yep, so cause you.
And so to my point about children, you or members of your household was where I think I was going with that.
That's a good idea.
Mm,
Okay,
I'm okay with that, but at the same time, I think that it depends how many people per household to take the survey for me to fully align. But I think
well, like a 2-year-old's not going to take it, but you know,
No,
There could be
an adult,
they should be counted. You know,
there could be both parents, yeah.
if it's a registered voter, it's a parent.
right. Yeah, but if the registered voter's not woken up, but the 2-year-old is, that should be counted.
The parent will take care of stating that, though, right?
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
I mean, those look good. I'm ready to make a motion that with those edits that we accept that survey and forward it to the
No.
to the town to send it out with
No,
the
I have
with the
I have a
question
number of
about-
changes.
we okay. We'll wait till he
But
makes.
yeah,
the
should we
changes.
go through, maybe we should quickly go through each question so people aren't.
Peter, I thought you wanted to go to
Yeah.
sleep.
I know.
I do, but I have a number. I can send it out to everybody if they want.
No, because
can't
we
do
have
it
to
that way.
agree
We
on
gotta
it.
approve it tonight. It's going
Okay.
to the town hall tomorrow.
Right, and then we'd be deliberating, so we
Right.
can't do that.
Sorry, Lisa and Tim, we have to place those new questions that we just approved in the correct location. Then we
Yep.
go through it.
okay, where would it was mentioned right after the 12-month.
Yes,
So thinking of the last 12 months or so,
I can't see my edits when you screen share.
Well, we're replacing those questions first and then we can go back.
Also, Peter, there should be a way you can move your Zoom around and not have it full screen and still see the members.
I don't have it full screen, but when you share yours, it becomes full screen.
Okay. Well, let's move those questions and then,
If you're on a computer there, you should be able to change it so that it's no longer maximized even when it's sharing full screen.
there you go.
I don't know what kind of computer you're on.
Sorry, guys, a lot of scrolling up and down, so I know it's.
Yep.
So right now, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so it's going to get smaller for context.
Okay.
It would be thinking about the last 12 months or so. These would be questions that have a scale beside them. So it would be sources of noise, and then the scale is what the people would comment on, all the way down.
so it'd be buttons
The
that they would
buttons.
click on.
Yeah.
And below that would be how often the noises surrounding your home cause you or a member of your household trouble falling asleep each week. And then how often the noises surrounding your home cause you or members of your household to be awoken prematurely each week. That correlates to the one above it.
Okay,
So that would be the placement, and then the numbering would probably technically be redone. So 1 through the end would actually start a little sooner. But I
why
can,
don't we number them? I mean, I would like to have this thing approved by the committee and almost email it right in the meeting, right to Vanessa. So there's no.
You know, I would say, Tim, if you can, don't even number it because of formatting issues for her, because she'll probably just do a copy and paste and she'll format it for each one and she'll understand it. And we should be able to have a look at it with a live link so we can go in and make sure there aren't any issues.
Right.
is there a way, do we need to do any kind of delineation right now so we know what question we're talking about, or are we okay with the way it is to review it?
I think it looks pretty good. I mean, there's at every question mark, there's an answer, like a choice. So.
Okay,
I think there was just one question where you guys asked for better wording, the business operations activities.
We're gonna nail that down.
Can we just for order of systematic review, can we start at the top and come down through? And then if we have a comment about a paragraph, a question, we discuss it at that point in time. And then that way everybody can go and we can be nice and orderly about this.
Great.
Okay.
Yes.
You want me to read it? The town of Southborough is currently engaged in the process of creating a noise bylaw to ensure that Southborough continues to be a healthy and enjoyable community for all our residents. At the 2021 town meeting, a proposed noise bylaw was discussed by residents after being postponed for a vote. The select board created a noise bylaw ad hoc committee to address the uncovered concerns and begin creating a bylaw for consideration at the 2022 town meeting. The committee has been gathering information on surrounding Massachusetts town bylaws, and we are now seeking public opinion on sources of noise and noise control guidelines to begin developing the bylaw. We appreciate your time and feedback. Please complete the short survey
Bye.
by 12/27/21 at the following link.
Ad hoc is 2 words and it's not capitalized.
Okay,
And it's
Thank you.
typically italicized
okay.
because it's Latin.
Anything else on what I've read so far? I'm gonna do it in sections.
Okay.
I know there's a second one here, but where somewhere ad hoc comes up. I'll fix it where it comes up.
Okay. Are you a resident of Southborough? Yes or no? The town of Southborough needs a noise bylaw. Strongly agree, somewhat disagree, neither disagree or agree, somewhat agree, strongly agree. Thinking about the last 12 months or so, when you were at your home, how much does noise from the following sources of sound bother, disturb, or annoy you? Not at all, slightly, moderately, very much, extremely. How do we feel about that section? Good?
Good.
Good.
Noises, alphabetized, animals, livestock, dogs, businesses, operation activities. We have a yellow section.
Yeah, we don't need the word alphabetized.
Yeah,
That's-
we'll
that's
give it,
just-
yeah.
That's just in there for a note.
Yeah,
Alright.
it's in there for a note, correct. And then
Okay.
this section here, if I can jump right into this one, this was this was to delineate physical structure businesses like our new downtown district that would possibly have noises at night, bands, that sort of activity going on. So it was trying to cover that type of business activity, and we were trying to figure out how do we separate that from a lawn crew, from some of the other sources of noise that are more portable formats. So
How about public venues such as businesses, restaurants with outdoor seating?
That's good. I like that.
I'll be okay with that.
You get rid of the rest of that question, yeah.
Hmm.
Car horns, car alarms, concerts, festivals.
sorry, Pete, just to double check, we're good with this as a group to cover what we just said.
Is everybody, I don't think everybody's showing on my screen, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm only seeing 5.
Nobody's voiced an objection or raised a hand, so I'm going to delete this now, so that way this continues to get cleaned up.
I mean, we're gonna do a vote at the end, so if somebody has a comment, they can certainly voice it then. Okay, car horns, concerts, construction activity, home alarms, house parties, idling vehicles, landscape activities, leaf blowers, neighbors, recreational vehicles, dirt bikes, ATVs, trash pickup, delivery drop-offs, vehicles, motorcycles, any additional sounds. Okay, how often?
Tim, the alphabetized, get rid of that.
I didn't alphabetize it yet. It was kind of leaving it as a note.
Okay.
No, it was alphabetized.
It
No,
was
he
until I
Well, now
changed
it's not, though.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our public venues went to the bottom.
Now it is.
Now we can
Awesome.
get rid of the word, okay.
Great.
How often do noises surrounding your home cause you or a member of your household trouble falling asleep each week? Never, occasionally, or often? We already pretty much talked about that one, so
I thought we approved those.
we did. I'm just,
We moved this, Peter,
Oh.
now it's right below the noise sources, so it's now kind of all related.
Right.
how often do noises surrounding your home cause you or members of your household to be awoken prematurely each week? Never, occasionally, often. Like Peter said, we pretty much approved that already. Should we separate hours of work, paid contractors and homeowners, yes or no? Now that has a number on it. I thought we were getting rid of numbers.
Yeah, I have a comment on that one, on the wording.
Okay,
I would say, I changed it to should separate work hours be defined for paid contractors and homeowners? And if we want to be alphabetic, we list homeowners before paid contractors.
okay.
I like that change.
Actually, the homeowners are the ones who are paying taxes. The paid contractors aren't paying taxes unless they're located in Southborough.
So you would like to move homeowners first?
Yeah, and say, should separate work hours be defined for?
Yeah, that's more neutral than the other way around.
Yeah, that looks really good.
And you want to get rid of the number 1, right?
I mean,
We can do that.
I don't care about the number 1.
changing this is don't worry about numbers.
Okay.
Yep.
If we had separate contractor homeowner hours, please select and start an end time for paid contractor activities during the weekdays, weekends
Okay.
and
So
holidays.
take out the "we" again.
Right.
And
To
change
the
it to
if there were to
were.
be. If there were to be separate contract, homeowner, again, homeowner and contractor business.
Separate homeowner.
If there were to be separate homeowner and contractor hours. No, I guess this has to be contractor. Because now it's contractor instead of paid contractor.
Oh, right. Yeah, it would be just contractor. Good point.
Or consistently say paid contractor.
Hey, contractor. Yeah.
Right.
And then the order stays the same, otherwise it gets confusing.
So switch homeowner again.
No, I think we don't
Yep.
want to give
No, just-
homeowners out.
Yeah.
If there were to be separate homeowner and paid contractor hours,
Right.
I'm trying to keep it
You know,
neutral.
since you're only asking in this question about the contractor, I just would say, if there were to be separate hours for paid contractors.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
take
And it
out
simplifies the whole thing.
homeowner.
yeah,
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 that-
and
that's
it
good.
simplifies it further.
Separate hours for paid contractors, please select a
Right.
step.
Start and
We
end time for
phrase
paid
it in
contract.
a parallel way in 3 for the homeowner.
Yep.
Right. We'll get there. Contractors would include construction and related deliveries and landscape tree removal.
Mhm.
Okay. Paid contractor activities, Monday through Friday, select a time, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. End time, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everybody good with those times? Selections?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a
Sat-
broad range.
Yep, Saturday, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. End time, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Everybody good with those?
Yep.
And legal holidays, no work for contractors. Do you agree? Should we say paid contractors to make it consistent?
It says
Yeah.
paid contractors up at the top, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter either way.
If we had separate contractor and homeowner hours, so we're gonna flip that.
So now if we
Homeowner.
If there were,
These are just homeowners.
if,
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
If
correct.
there were to
Right.
be separate
Yep, he's right.
hours for
He's right.
homeowners,
If we had separate homeowner hours,
hours for homeowners. Yep.
okay, before we get too far into this section, I have a comment about the previous with the contractor. I made a note saying, it just asks if they agreed to no work for contractors on Sundays and legal holidays. Do we want to make that, do we want to open that up to get participant input to see how they feel about allowing contractors on Sundays and paid holiday, legal holidays? And I'm not in favor of it personally, but do we want to allow that input?
well, that's what the question asks. No
It's a
work
yes
for
or
paid
no.
contractor, yes or no?
No, but I think what he's asking is, what if a lot of people say yes? Then we don't have any input as to what hours they would be looking for.
Exactly.
Another way to phrase it would be, to put down Sunday legal holidays, select a start time and have the first item be no. And then the remaining would be select one,
Right.
no or select.
Yeah.
Well, select one, and one of the choices would be no work that day.
Right. If yes, then the times.
And Lisa, didn't you say with SurveyMonkey, you could put logic in that would only reveal the following questions if they answered positively or negatively on the leading question?
Um,
Did you follow
well,
that?
if you say no, yeah, so if it was a yes or no, you could skip, like if you had questions that followed a yes answer, you could
Not display them on a negative.
yeah, not display certain things that may have been, if you
Okay.
answered no type
Yeah.
thing. You can skip around.
So is everybody happy with the way Tim has it right there?
Yeah, it's
Sunday and legal
consistent
holidays, no
with
work.
the other ones.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
with a
so-
note so that it displays the additional choices if they answer in the affirmative, or if they answer in the negative, to no work. For,
So
paid
Peter,
contractors.
one of the things we did with the way this was, because we didn't know how the survey platform, if it had that kind of logic capability or not through the town, we wrote these in such a way that they would not need logic to function.
Right.
So I would suggest omitting the logic idea of that component. And if you notice, I crossed out that question. So I think we should delete that section. And I just
Yes.
added an option into the start time as no work.
No work allowed. How about that?
Okay. Okay.
And then that way it goes into one of the answers. And then we would maybe want to, I just copied these dates from the Saturdays above it. So I
Yeah.
don't know if we would want to keep the same options in the Sundays, legal holidays for simplicity's sake, or if we would get rid of the earliest hour or something, since we just added another
No,
option.
no.
I would add noon to Sunday if for start time. I would add noon, because I think I saw that in at least one of the other towns' bylaws.
No, we've added more.
We added 2 now, so I would suggest we cut someplace or do our best to make it equal other sections.
I don't think I saw any bylaw that let a Saturday, I'm sorry, a Sunday or
Sunday.
legal holiday start before 9.
So do we want to omit these 2 to
I
go
think-
down to 5?
I thought Westboro's was 8.
Yeah, there was
I'd leave
another one.
8, I'd leave 8 in then.
Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options for start times, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options for end times.
I'm
So
good
should
with
we
it.
take one more out?
No, I think we're even right now. If I
Yeah.
count correctly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Okay, so then we're good to get rid of the yes, no answer.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
If there were to
You
be
separate.
separate hours for homeowners, please select and start the end time for homeowners who work on their residence during the weekdays, weekends, and holidays. Homeowner activities, Monday through Friday. Start time, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. End time, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Saturdays, do you want to put, to be consistent, no work or?
no,
7, 8,
homeowners
9,
would
10,
be,
11?
It'd be Sunday.
that would be
Yeah, okay,
Sundays, and we did break it up, but we're not there yet. So let's go to Saturdays and keep going down.
Saturdays, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and end time 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I have a
Go ahead.
proposal to insert a word,
Okay,
homeowners who potentially work on their residence.
Potentially.
Well,
What does that mean?
yeah,
Yeah. What's that
It
mean?
means that there's a potential that they work on their residence. Many do not. Some do.
yeah, but that would be a homeowner activity, right?
Yeah. You select to start.
Yeah, if I'm helping my neighbor on Sunday doing their yard, I want to comply with what we come up with. It's not my home, but it's my neighbor's home. She's not paying me.
I think what you're saying is probably implied in the question.
I think so.
Yeah.
okay, Sundays, start time, select one,
So the only question
7,
is for
8, 9,
consistency,
10,
you want to put no work
or
allowed.
no work allowed.
Yeah. I would put no work first. Do we want to do the same setup for contractors and separate out Sunday and legal holidays? Like we have here for the one
That's
above?
what I suggested a while ago.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah,
I'll go to the next one. Start time, 7, 8, 9, 10, with the no work allowed first. And same for the end time, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, no work allowed, have that be first.
What is it up above? I guess it doesn't matter.
Should the day and time restrictions,
Sorry, I gotta go back and fix this if we want to just be consistent about getting it done.
Yep.
Are we getting too, I mean, surveys should be as simple and short as possible. I'm worried about just adding too complexity of adding Sundays, separating Sundays and legal holidays. We're just asking people
Too much. Yeah.
I would think there'd be one and the same. 'Cause
So
then-
keep it together
Yeah, I would think
Sundays
so.
and legal holidays. Yeah.
for both
Yeah.
contractors and homeowners.
At least for now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just
Well-
getting feedback. We're not making any decisions.
Yeah.
Right.
So that there's two thoughts there. I'm now in the contractor section. Lisa just said for contractors and homeowners, grouping it. We had it purposely separated in the homeowner section.
Yeah, we
So,
did.
so now we're still talking about, two different approaches here. I would almost just be in favor of leaving this to be Sundays and legal holidays as separate, the same way we had it in the homeowner section for simplicity's sake. And then that way Sundays and legal holidays.
Mm.
can
I
be
think it'll
looked
look
at.
better. And I think it'll look better in the format of the survey format. I think it looks a little cumbersome from what, it's just the wording, but when it comes out in the survey, I think it'll look a lot better.
You think
It'll
it'll
be
look
all
better
lined
to,
up. Yeah, it'll all be lined up.
but to have it separate?
Yeah,
To have legal holidays separate.
yeah.
That's fine. Let's move on.
I think it'll be
Okay.
fine.
Can you scroll up a little bit? What happened to the no work? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. You ordered it
Down.
first. All right. Okay.
Yeah, no work allowed.
Thanks. All set.
Right.
Should the day and time restrictions above determine quiet hours alone? Yes or no?
I didn't know what that means.
Okay.
Okay. I have a rewording for that stuff.
Go for it.
My note says the question is redundant and it's handled by the next question. I would preface the next question with something like, the queries above have dealt with time, the time element. Let us now consider another parameter related to noise, the intensity, sound level, or volume of a source of noise. And then state, should a bylaw include restrictions to the intensity of noise levels? Yes, no.
Oh, okay, I get it. Mhm.
That's good.
So it references them back and says, okay, this is what you considered. Now let's consider something else, the intensity or sound level or volume.
You want to give that to me again?
Okay,
Your wording.
So eliminate the, should the day and time restrictions above determine quiet hours alone to, let's see, I'm sorry. Should a bylaw include restrictions to the intensity of noise levels? Oh, sorry, my leading note. The queries above dealt with the time element. I'll give you time.
How about just should the bylaw also, in addition to time restrictions,
Yep.
should the bylaw include?
Yeah, then I'm saying my next sentence, let us now consider another parameter related to noise, the intensity, sound level, or volume of a source of noise.
It's too wordy.
Okay,
It's
so-
too
Yeah,
wordy.
that's
So hold on,
complicated.
before
It should
we
just be a question.
Yeah.
before we jump to the solution, I'd like to just get Peter's wording in
And
front
then
of
you can
us,
change it.
and then we
Yeah.
can change it.
Okay.
So Peter, I keep missing you, so just walk me through it a little slow. The queries above have dealt with the time element,
Period.
period.
Let us now consider another parameter related to noise, comma, the intensity, sound level, or volume of a source of noise. That's sort of an intro to the next question, which would then be, should a bylaw include restrictions to the intensity of noise levels? And that's seeking a yes or no answer.
Okay, so is number 4 out and replaced with this?
No.
Yeah, and then number 5 becomes, or it'll be the new number 4.
Okay,
Right.
Should a bylaw include restrictions to the intensity of noise levels?
I think that's good.
So
Such a,
So
this,
do you mean by that, by like the measurement, like with a measuring device? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Or whatever, because then I said, I made a note. recommend the addition of another query to obtain the participant's view on sound level measurement. Choices could include device to measure sound levels, officer discretion, and other.
Oh,
So if they want to measure, if they want to consider the intensity of noise levels, ask them, how shall it be done? Device, officer discretion, or something else that they can think of that we haven't thought of.
As choices for that question, that's what you mean?
mhm.
That way we're getting their input. They may say, you know what, don't use a microphone. An officer can figure it out. Or somebody might say, oh, there's this XYZ thing and they can use that we don't even know about.
What does everybody think about that? I can't see everybody. I can only see 4 people.
I have, as I'm reading through these, my initial thought is these are kind of 2 different questions. Number 4, the one that we're potentially eliminating. We were trying extremely hard to find a simple way to ask questions about decibels and intensity of sound without leading into the conversation that decibels and other types of enforcement would bring up, because we wanted just to get to that point first and see if people agreed in town to just a time parameter and quote unquote quiet hours. That's essentially what the number 4 is getting into, is the idea of simply having quiet time and time for things to be done. Rewriting, eliminating number 4, I don't think we quite bring back up the full idea of what quiet hours was to be. So I think we're still missing a little something there. I think number 5 isn't bad, but it's also getting complicated again. Maybe the wording we originally had wasn't the best, but I think we were closer with, in addition to day and time restrictions, should the bylaw include additional restrictions to the intensity of noise levels during specific daytime hours? That may not be the perfect way to ask that question, but the crux of it is include additional restrictions to the intensity of noise levels. That's a way of asking about decibels without mentioning the word decibels. So I think that there's something there. Maybe it needs some rewriting, but I think that we were closer where we started than where we are now about quiet hours and some of these enforcement ideas we had, without trying to get super in the weeds about what the solution is.
Well, this doesn't propose a solution. And it doesn't mention decibels.
I would agree that number 4, like, it's a pretty simple question. Should day and time restrictions above be determined by quiet hours alone? That's like a simple thing. Do we want to do it just by hours? Yes or no? That's reasonable. And the second question is, do we want to look into other things, which is metering, like the police officer? Like, we need to figure out that out. I think it is. I would agree. I think it's a little heavy, the writing of it. I don't know if anybody's got any further offers, but.
Well, in addition to day and time restrictions, should we consider?
No, you don't want to say in addition to.
Right.
That biases them already.
Okay.
It's like,
Gotcha.
oh, this is extra. It's not
Right.
extra.
All right. Of course, that was.
Because the hours only
I get it.
define.
Yeah, I get it, Peter.
Well, how
defines
about
quiet
this?
time at night.
How about
It
we use
doesn't
the
affect-
same language in 4? It says, should the day and time restrictions above determine quiet hours? Should the day and time restrictions include intensity, sound level, or volume of source, like whatever you want to say, however you want to say that. And
That sounds
instead of yes or
good.
no,
Yeah.
have the answers that Peter laid out.
Yeah.
Meter, police officer, whatever, or other.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I don't want them to think that measuring sound level is something extra.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just another piece, you know.
Right.
The quiet hours
Should the day and
based on
time
the survey
restrictions.
are just nighttime hours, really. You know, and it does nothing to affect daytime hours.
And is it even within those? Should the day and time restrict?
How about just the
Go ahead,
restriction?
type what you're gonna say, Tim.
I was trying to collect what Pete just said a second ago, but I'm trying
Yeah,
to
like
listen to
Pete's-
everybody too.
I like Pete's wording.
Should the bylaw include restrictions to the intensity of noise levels? The last sentence of the beginning part about
There we
that.
go.
Right.
Just what Peter already dictated.
Yeah.
only, skip the first sentence or two
Right.
sentences.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Right.
That's the part that made
Yeah.
it wordy.
My
Yeah,
cold is really getting
that's
hold of me
nice
now.
and simple.
yeah, straightforward.
And Tim, you gotta uncross out number 4. There you go.
So if I can, all this goes away and cross out. We just keep, should the bylaw include restrictions to the intensity of noise levels?
Exactly.
Right. And then just say the options that meter, police officer, or what was it? Other, was that the third one?
Other, yep,
Other.
and not the a bylaw.
Mm.
And then the next question was in relation to the noise meter. How was a good way of asking that again? Or in terms of enforcement, what was the way?
No, should the noise bylaw include restrictions to the intensity? Yes or no? And then measured by police officer.
Should noise levels be measured by?
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta plug in my charger.
Well, there was a third option, right?
Other. And alphabetically, you want to do a measurement device for police officer.
Do you want to say police?
Enforcement officer.
Yeah,
Discretion.
no. Yeah, enforcement officer. But is it, I'm sorry. I'm not thinking.
Police officer's discretion. Is that
Officer
what
discretion.
Thank you.
Right.
Discretion.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay, good.
All right, number 7. We are in second to last one. I guess it is the last one. We are considering making an exemption section to the bylaw for clear guidelines. Here are a few activities we are considering for exemption. Emergency vehicles, snow removal, emergency storm cleanup, generators, occasional permanent outdoor events and parades. Do you have any other suggestions for exemptions?
I have the following exemptions to the bylaw are under consideration.
Oh, that's good.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
And the list should be
Pure and simple.
alphabetized.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's simple.
Or for exemptions to a bylaw. And then alphabetize the selections.
Do a bylaw? Did you
Think
say
they
a
are.
bylaw?
A bylaw, yeah.
Exemptions to a bylaw.
And I think they are alphabetized.
They are alphabetized, yeah, already.
I just did that.
Emergency-
I just did that.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Hey, Tim, for number 6, do you need to maybe put a little note there next to other that it would be a comment box? So people could put in their comment?
Good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept that survey as
Second.
amended, second by
Wait,
Peter.
wait.
We
So
have to
that's the
finish
end of
cleaning
it
up.
now? There's nothing after, are you interested? Okay,
All this.
We moved it.
We already did all that.
You can get rid of that.
okay.
There you go.
Whoa.
So I'll call, the motion's been seconded by Peter. Where's my notes here?
Okay, can I just go back, Tim, for the wording at the very end about having them put their email in? If you are interested in future updates, please include your email address in the comment box below.
Or
Something like
provide,
that.
provide.
Yeah, provide.
I'd
Please
probably
provide.
put the please, I'd swap the clauses. please provide your email address if you are interested in future updates.
Yep.
Okay,
Because that's what you want them to do.
okay. Sounds good.
Sorry, one other comment. Should we thank the surveyor for filling out the,
Thank you for your
Yeah.
participation.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to make a new motion to accept those as currently printed out. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Peter. All those,
Wait,
let's see.
second by Peter or Lee?
No, Lee.
Lee. John,
Aye.
Lee,
aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
and I myself, Peter.
Good.
Pete. So we're all set. Tim, can you send that off in the meeting to Vanessa Hale?
Yep. Just directed to her.
Yeah.
Is it okay with the team if I move this forward and kind of work with Vanessa going forward on this one and try to get it into some kind of form?
Yeah, I'll reach out to her with a phone call tomorrow, but I'll just to confirm, hey, look at this document. I think her and there was another lady at the townhouse that does these things that they seemed eager to do it. So I'll just confirm with Vanessa that she got the email, that she's going to be working on it.
And if she has any questions, I'm happy to help out too.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't know if they use SurveyMonkey or not, but I use it all the time.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's
Lee
done.
Lee has a comment.
Lee, your
So-
hands up.
It is. So we had talked about how we were going to get word of this survey out so that we would collect responses. Well, among other things, while we were sitting here, I got an email from nextdoor.com for a survey for the town of Hopkinton about sidewalks. So my neighborhood, because I'm south of Route 9, is the Southville neighborhood, and it includes part of Hopkinton. But if you look at nextdoor.com's, neighborhoods, many of them are wholly contained in Southborough. And I was wondering, even how many of you, participate in nextdoor.com, but it seems like a good way of, getting to at least maybe 1,000 people in Southborough that might not have see it otherwise. The only problem is the way that the town of Hopkinton did it. I could have answered their survey apropos of our initial. But if they hadn't included my neighborhood, which overlaps with part of Hopkinton, if we only put it in those neighborhoods that are wholly contained within Southborough, we would minimize that kind of leakage. So something to bring up maybe to the to whoever is going to publicize this for us.
So my Southborough would also post a link and so forth. The town website can do it. So I think the first step is getting through the technology committee, getting it set up to make sure it's approved by the town. And then once we have that link, we could put it certain places to minimize outside influence.
Right.
So we could have it at least put on the town website, and then at our next meeting, we could talk about how we're going to advertise it further. I would think
Yeah.
like the soundboard at the transfer station. I mean, at the signboard at the transfer station would be one. My Southborough, obviously, but we're gonna have people go do that. But I think before we do that, we want to make sure it's done the way we like it first.
Isn't the next meeting the first hearing?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we don't have any meetings currently scheduled after that.
Correct.
So we have to post the
Public
next meeting
hearing.
for public. right?
Right.
At the
Which,
transfer station.
What?
Right, we have to post, we have to advertise for the next meeting,
Yes.
for the open forum. I don't know what the legal term
Okay,
is.
so we're off the survey and back to the meeting next
Right.
week, right? Okay,
Right.
thanks.
so number 9, are we on?
Discuss public,
We skipped 8.
So I think we're back to, with my agenda.
yeah, we
now.
did, we're going back up to the,
Oh.
6.
Okay, yeah,
Discuss for future public open meetings. But like, remember we talked about virtual and having the experiment, all that? We're going back to that, and we have to figure out how we're gonna do the advertisement. Does somebody have a connection at, southbro.com? What was it, My Southbro?
You mean my wife?
I knew there was somebody.
oh.
Is there anybody, that has, what do you think if, John lets, people know about, through his wife, about the next meeting that we're gonna have a open public meeting?
Well, I think we also have to have it posted on the town website,
Right.
right?
Right. Well, we'll do,
What's
that'll
the-
be part of I'll post the agenda and that'll be part of it.
Is this the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, what's the legal lead time required
48 hours.
for a public hearing?
Yeah.
I'm not,
That's all?
I'll, when I call Vanessa tomorrow, I'll ask her.
If I remember correctly, which I mean, I'm only so good at this, which is not saying much, but Sam said that at a previous, he said that it's still the same level of time which a normal meeting as a public forum needs. But
Oh, really?
the better time you give for a heads up, the more opportunity people have to participate.
Yeah.
Yes.
he did
So
say that.
so it's still 48 hours as I understand it,
Right.
but
But let's get it out tomorrow if we can.
yeah, we're going to lack participation if we don't get more notice.
We still got 2 other ones we have to do, so it's not like it has to be all done in one.
Yeah, I just imagined it would have been more than 2 days. But whatever.
So Pete, you're gonna handle that, right?
Right, I'll do the agenda tomorrow. I'll talk to Vanessa. We'll get that posted as soon as we can. And John
And
will
John-
notify myself, bro. Somebody has to, I think, go down to the DPW and, I would put it on that signboard, especially before
I believe-
Saturday, it's a busy day.
I believe
Anybody
it's
have any pulled
handled
out there?
I believe it's handled from direction, I could be wrong, and we lost chief. But I believe that the select board has control of what happens at the transfer station. No? Okay, I thought that was how.
Trust me, I used to work there. it- I can call and request
Okay,
that
okay.
it be posted.
So if you
Okay.
just basically bylaw, what is it, open meeting, bylaw open meeting, see town website, basically, and what the date and time. Is that
Bylaw
fair?
open meeting, I'm sorry, say it again.
But,
I just sent a flyer out and I
Okay.
think I actually, Pete, I don't know if you saw it, but I sent it to you and Tim a couple days ago. Because I did go on to the public hearing. There's actually a public hearing page and I just borrowed the language. So I sent that off to you. But I was thinking this could be something that we could create flyers. We could go to, if people are around this weekend, and if I don't know how soon we can get the survey link back, maybe we don't include the survey link, but I just kind of prepared just in case we have everything together. But I know the library might be able to post this for us. I have someone that I spoke to yesterday to see if they could send out at least the hearing notice
right,
through the library. If I know that I've been at the transfer station and talked to people, had a flyer, let them know it was happening. Also had a QR code. We could do a QR code if we have the survey available. They could take a picture of it, or they could just take the link. but, or even just point them to the website. But I do know that I sent some language to you, and it was basically borrowed off the public hearing, another public hearing notice. But
Okay.
here's some suggestions. I mean, if this language seems to be fine, and everyone agrees to it, we could do flyers and just let people know that this is happening and try to get the word out. My Southborough, the library, the senior center too. So going into the senior center and talking to the seniors. I don't know if people have the opportunity to do that, or even just dropping off the flyers and asking if they can put it up, or talking to a few people that might be going to some of the groups that meet. I know
Library's been closed for 2 days.
Yeah, I think it's going to open, but actually I think they'll put it on their email list and send it out.
Yeah,
So
it'll
you don't
open
necessarily
pending
have to, you don't
approval by the
necessarily
Board of
have to
Health.
go to the library. I think they'll put it on an email that they send out to everyone on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, it's up to the Board of Health when the library reopens.
Right.
I would think, I like this notice. The only thing is we don't have the survey ready, so I would leave
Right.
that section out.
Yeah, we could take that off. So whatever we
So-
need, and eventually if once we get the survey link, we can put it out there too.
Right, we can add to it. So
Yeah.
Cindy, if you scroll to the top, if we just have it on the signboard at the DPW, noise bylaw public hearing, and the date, Wednesday, December 15th, 7 PM, Zoom. I mean,
So if we can get the
that's-
Zoom link.
if they can
yeah.
get just
Yeah.
that on the town, on the
Yep.
thing, hopefully
Yep.
that'll fit. And then I'm fine if we print out that, everything above the noise bylaw survey, everything above that, if we get some volunteers to post those in public places, I'm fine with that as well. Cindy, Lisa, you got your hand up still?
I was going to say, maybe you should, instead of say Zoom, maybe just say virtual meetings, because that's how it's listed on the website. So people will look for a virtual meeting on the
Okay.
website.
Trouble is, you're limited to how many characters you can display on that
Right,
electronic
yeah, that's
board.
what I was thinking of.
Yeah. Get rid of the link, because we won't be able to give them a link, but
Right,
Well, and Zoom is shorter than virtual meeting.
that's
yeah,
right.
That's 4 letters.
gotcha.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because you're getting up there in characters.
Yeah. Whatever.
And
Character
it's
count,
basically
yeah.
gonna say noise bylaw, public hearing. The third line is it won't even say Wednesday, it'll say set 12/15/21, 7 PM.
Yeah.
That's about all you can fit.
Is it 7 or 7:30?
7:30.
It is,
Okay.
it's 7:30.
I actually, I'd have to double check that.
I
Yeah,
thought we picked 7:30. I'm pretty sure that's the time I booked the room for.
I think,
Yep,
I
I've
think
got
I looked back
7:30 in
too.
my notes.
7:30 is good.
I would just say, is this proposed noise bylaw? Is there, because it's kind of one of those loose, semantic terms right now. So I don't know if we should,
But you're not going to have enough space to say proposed
Right.
on that electronic board.
well, not that board. I guess I got the screen up here of what Lisa wrote. And I was kind of like just looking at that as we were talking about all this, because it has all the information through it.
It probably should say proposed,
We're not proposing anything.
or
We're
the
just collecting data.
possible,
Yeah, we're discussing a noise bylaw.
Right, yeah.
there you go.
Yes,
And in the next paragraph too, a noise bylaw.
yeah.
Can we put in big letters, we only have 3 weeks?
In order
They
to
don't
be on
care.
the warrant, we don't have to have the whole thing finalized,
Right,
right?
right.
We
No,
just need the placeholder on the
But
warrant.
you would need to take it with an amendment to the meeting
right.
if there's.
We have to have most of it done by then, I would think.
You can't amend something that doesn't exist.
Right.
You
All
can,
right, so for homework, who's going to the library with that message?
I'll take it to the library.
Okay, we have Lisa for the library. Who's going to the senior center? Anyone?
I can reach out to my neighbors.
Okay. Where else do you
Or I
think it
can
should be
go.
posted?
it's on the way to the library.
We need the town website. So Pete, are you handling the town
I'm gonna
website?
take care of that. I'm gonna do the agenda and then the town website.
Okay.
So here's what I've got. So the public hearing advertisement, Pete's gonna do the agenda. John's gonna handle my Southborough. I'm gonna ask for the signboard. Lisa's going to the library and the senior center.
Yep.
Do you want me to post it on nextdoor.com in the Southborough neighborhoods? So this would be just for the, for next week's meeting, not the survey.
Right.
I mean, that's a public forum. I don't know if there's any particular reason that the town would say we can't do it that way.
That would be my question.
That would be my only reservation about it. So as long as I would say Mr. Purple says that that's an acceptable path, I think he'd be the one to say, him or Jim Hegarty, one of those two would say that it's okay to do that. As long as one of them would approve it, I think Lee, it'd be great if you could do it.
All right, so I should ask Mr. Purple or Mr. Haggerty?
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming we can send notes out to our neighbors and to our friends in town and let them know.
It's a free country.
It's a
Yeah,
public
I mean,
meeting.
but that's different than me basically publishing it.
Yeah, gotcha.
And what was it? What was the name of it? Next door
Next
neighbor?
door.
Door. as one word.
Nextdoor.com.
Next
Yeah.
door, just that simple.
Okay.
Actually, a pretty nice website.
I'll have
I
to
mean,
look
if you're
at.
not a member of Nextdoor, you won't get it.
That's true, but it's probably, I looked at the number of people just in my Southville neighborhood, which, as I said, includes some people from Ashland and Hopkinton, just because where I am. And there are like 700 people in that neighborhood that are already subscribers. And when I look into like some of the Southborough neighborhoods, there are a few hundred in each of them.
Interesting.
So, there are quite a few.
Not me.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay, I'm gonna take a couple minutes to open up to public comment. Tim, do you
That'll
see anybody in the virtual audience?
That'll be
Yeah, I
quick.
think-
We have no virtual attendees.
I think
No.
Heather left.
No we burnt everybody out. Great.
Yeah. They went to bed.
I should have went to bed an hour ago. Okay, motion, is everybody happy with everything that we can settle it and do a motion to adjourn?
We got, no, we gotta do future meetings.
Oh,
Yeah, we have
Oh.
that already.
We only have one. We only have next week. What about after that?
Okay.
We ought to at least do the one after that.
Right.
Also, point of order, I think we have to technically take a vote, and I'm not positive on this, and nobody's called us out. I think we have to take a vote to end public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to end public comment.
So
Second.
I have a second. Second by Tim. Get my roster.
Aye.
Lee, John, Lee, Tim,
Aye.
Peter,
Bye.
Lisa,
Hi.
Cindy.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Well, Pete, you gotta
Public
do.
comment is over for this meeting. How does the times and dates work? I know, Lee, we were doing it kind of late for you. Do you still have your commitment earlier? Or can we move it up so Peter can,
So
Give 'em a
if we wanted to do the 22nd, I can move up to 7 o'clock.
how does that work for everybody?
I can do it.
That's Christmas week.
Yeah.
I was thinking we were gonna take off that week personally. I don't know if anybody else has commitments, but I'll be traveling, so I'd prefer not to do that week if we.
I could use a break. I could use a break too.
We
Yeah,
could
about
do
the
a
week
Christmas
after?
day.
Yeah. The following week, I'm out of town on vacation for, between Christmas and New Year's, so I won't even.
And I
be-
cannot do I'm not sure I think the 29th is a Wednesday and I cannot do the 29th.
Yeah, that's a Wednesday.
Okay, January 5th.
Well, I
Can
thought,
we,
yeah. Okay. All right, January 5th.
it's gotta be, huh?
Lee, can that be 7 on January 5th as well?
Yeah, I'll make that work.
I want to try and accommodate Peter.
Mhm.
7
So
p.m.
7 o'clock on January 5th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, one other question. I know we're meeting next Wednesday. Would a Thursday meeting next week? I'm just worried about time just going quickly by.
I know.
That's a good thought.
I
That is a
cannot
really
meet
good
on
idea.
Thursday, the 16th.
Okay.
You what?
So
I'm
just-
sorry, what?
Well, I mean, we can get some work done at this public forum too.
Yeah.
Because
We can-
after the marathon on the 15th, I don't know if anybody will have the energy and motivation for a follow on the next night.
Yeah, we can play, yeah, true. Well, it all gonna depends on who shows up, but if we don't get, much interest, then we can do a lot of business. But if we want one the next night, we gotta know now because we're gonna post it.
What if we just met for like an hour to kind of go over what we discovered?
You
So
mean
we
after
can-
the meeting?
Yeah, on the 16th, or I don't know. I mean, if we could do it after the meeting, because there's hardly anyone that shows, hopefully that's not the
Right,
case. But
Right.
I'm saying on the 16th, maybe we could meet for just an hour to figure out our next steps. Maybe we've got the survey at that point, and how are we going to approach the promotion of the survey? Maybe just
So-
kind of focus on the survey on the 16th.
How about if you
That's a good
schedule it?
idea.
Available
Yeah, why
on
don't I
the
schedule it and then depending on how the 15th works out,
Right.
if we could do it the 15th, then at the 15th, we'll just cancel our 16th one.
As I
Or
said,
if you
I'm not
run into
available on the
legal,
16th.
if you run into legal cancellation issues, we can hold it and dismiss after 10 minutes or something.
Well, we don't have a quorum if nobody
Yeah,
shows
we just
up.
won't have a quorum.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
So
December
Tim,
16th at
can
what
you
time?
reserve the virtual rooms for the 16th and the 5th?
Yeah, what time did we say, the 16th?
We didn't.
Okay.
Lee, you have a
I have a Mass Medical Committee on Finance, and I'm their Assistant Secretary Treasurer, so I need to be at that. And that's will be from 6 till about 9 or 9:30 on that night.
So
okay.
do you mind if
So you
we
won't be
go
there.
on without you?
Well, you'll have a quorum if everybody, you only
Right.
need 4 for a quorum.
We only need 4.
Okay.
So,
All right. So do you want to
I
make
can always
it?
watch it on the video.
You want to make it 7?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 o'clock.
And we're gonna try to keep that one tight, right? We're gonna try to just.
An hour.
Yeah, quick one. I mean, we like I say, we might be able to do it on Wednesday. We might not need it
Yeah.
at all, but just we're
I'll
kind of
reserve
pressed for time.
I'll reserve the room regardless. And then after the 5th, because we should just schedule the rooms because they get harder to get. So do we want to just say every Wednesday from that point? Or if through January, just so I have the rooms, or is that overcommitting?
I mean, we got 3 meetings. I think we can wait one more week and figure it out.
Well, the next time I would reasonably try to schedule it would be around the 5th of January. So I'd like to make it go into January a little bit more, and then we can decide at the January 5th meeting how many more, or do we want to skip the following one? But I'd like to, it's not a hard commitment keeping the room, but it just gives us the opportunity to have a room
Right.
at the time we would prefer before somebody
So-
else takes all the rooms.
So what do they only allow so many meetings a day or
3 meetings at a time. So if
meetings at a time?
3 committees wanted the 7 o'clock hour on a Wednesday, then whoever books the room first gets first priority, unless the Board of Selectmen would want it, in which case whoever else probably is
We get
working,
bounced.
it's going to get bumped.
I'm fine with the Wednesdays if that works for everybody. Lee, are you
So,
still tied up to 8 o'clock that time?
The 12th?
Yeah, Wednesday, the 12th, I have a meeting at 6:30 of the Medical Society that probably won't finish till 7:30 or 8.
Okay, well,
I can do Tuesday, the 11th, though.
I could do a Tuesday.
Or just, he can just join us a little late.
I can join a little late.
well, I mean, I think since we accommodated you earlier,
Yeah.
why don't we make it 8 o'clock on the following Wednesday? I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the following Wednesday after the 5th.
12.
It's the
That's the
12th.
12th.
I would sorry, Lee, I would suggest we do 7:30 because there's plenty of opportunity to catch
Yeah.
up. If your meeting ends
Yeah.
close to it, I'd prefer just to get an extra half hour of business, scribe, all that sort of thing done. I don't think you'd be missing much besides being the scribe, which you probably will appreciate.
All right, so Wednesday, the 12th at 7:30.
That
Yeah.
sounds good.
Great.
All right, folks, I'm going to do a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Wait, do we have to ask for public comment?
No,
We already did that.
We already
Yep.
passed
We
that.
did that, okay.
Yep.
Oh,
20
yeah,
minutes ago.
okay.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Or do we want to
Second.
stay up later?
Second,
All right, CB seconded. Let's see, go for
Wait,
my roll
who
call again.
seconded? Who
Peter.
seconded?
Peter,
Peter,
Thank you.
Peter. John,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Tim,
aye.
here.
did you say Peter? Aye.
Yes.
Yes, Cindy,
Aye.
all of this is in the
It's the
video.
same list every time, same order.
What video? I have no idea how to watch the video.
It's very easy. You just Google YouTube Southborough noise bylaw and it'll give you the
Thank you.
link.
Thank you.
You're-
And I'm an
you're a
aye.
movie star.
All right.
And Cindy, motion to adjourn, what's your vote?
Aye.
Okay, you're gonna have all kinds of fancy makeup on. You're gonna be a movie star next time. You see yourself. on
Yeah,
TV.
really, huh?
All right, hey, great job on the homework. Sorry, I've been a bit totally busy at work, buried, and I got this cold. It's been driving me crazy, so I've been slacking a little bit, but I'll turn up the heat. I got a few things to do tomorrow, obviously. So, great work with everybody, and I know it's late, but gotta do what we gotta do.
Great.
I see we
Yeah, nice
outlasted
job, everyone.
everybody else, right?
Have a good one.